And we are live. So, hi everyone. Welcome to this week's. Well, there it is. Hi everyone. Welcome to this week's live stream wellness series. We have a very special guest tonight, and I am beyond excited to have him join us. We are joined tonight. We are joined tonight by Mr. Rwenshaun Miller. He is a mental health advocate extraordinaire. I know some of you are coming in right now and there's an ad playing, but you will catch in. Let me tell y'all about Mr. Miller. It seems like I got a story with almost everybody that come in. So, way back in the day, when I was going by the name Regal Fro, I came across this gentleman on the internet. And I said, you know what? I want him to come on my channel and talk about mental health in the Black community. And that was like 6 years. That was some time. It was a while ago. But he was the first person that I met that said that they managed bipolar disorder. And I was like, me too. I was like, me too. And so I have been following him and his journey and all the amazing things that he has been doing. And I am beyond excited to have him join me again because, you know, life is different.
Yeah, it is.
Life is really different for both of us.
Right.
I was a hair vlogger and I was doing videos, and now I do mental health advocacy
right.
all the time. And then we both do. So I'm going to allow you to introduce yourself, tell our audience who you are, and we're going to talk about some of the awesome dynamic things that you are doing in the world of advocacy and really get into your life as an advocate.
Rwenshaun Miller, born and raised in North Carolina. Actually the founder and executive director of Eustress Inc., which is a nonprofit to raise mental health awareness in Black and Brown communities. Actually built my organization just based off of my own personal story. Diagnosed with bipolar disorder back in 2006, and actually ended up in a hospital, but got treatment that I actually needed. But then once I started my treatment and I started to get better, I said that, you know, I no longer need this anymore. So symptoms end up coming back and end up self-medicating with alcohol for a number of years. And also during that period, attempted suicide 3 times, attempted to overdose twice. And then the last time put a gun in my head and pulled the trigger. And it jammed on me. So that was my wake up call. But then also that led me into starting to look at things a lot differently once I started to get better that second time. And I started to notice things in friends and family members, and I decided that I wanted to help them out. But one of the things that I needed to do was not only share my story with them, because I hid it from everyone for about 7 years. So it wasn't just share my story, but then also I ended up going to get my degree in mental health counseling, become a therapist, and now pursuing my PhD in international psychology.
And there he is. Ladies and gentlemen, you understand. You understand why I am just like, oh my gosh. But seriously though. So this road and journey to advocacy tends to always start with our personal stories and situations. Right. You know, I remember being, you know, not being able to sleep and tossing back and forth and just getting up one day and one morning, it was like 3:00 in the morning, and said, I can't take this anymore. Mm-hmm. And I set up a camera and I just started talking. And that was the first time that I ever told my story about dealing and struggling with depression and psychosis. And I decided to load this stuff up to YouTube. But it was this thing within me where I didn't see reflections of myself. I was in Mississippi. I didn't see reflections of myself talking about mental health. And I didn't know anyone that was really experiencing anything. So I mean like personally and being open about it. And so for me, my journey was about becoming a reflection of what I didn't see so someone else could have it.
Mm-hmm.
And when I came across you and I saw the work you were doing, one of the things I was like, this is a Black man talking about how he feeling and talking about his moves and talking about that he doesn't have it all together. And so there was this level where you were being vulnerable,
Mm-hmm.
and your vulnerability becomes your strength. And you opened up this world that really became a career. And so my question is, what was that line for you? Because a lot of advocates, I talk to a lot of advocates, especially in doing what I'm doing now in this series. I reach out to a lot of people, a lot of young advocates. What was that point for you where you reached and you was like, this may be a career for me?
Phew. I guess when I really decided to wanted to go and to get my degree in counseling, that was the career thing. It wasn't about, I felt like I needed to get that education piece and to have those credentials to create that career instead of, and just being an advocate, it was great, but I wanted people to take me serious, and it's just about me just sharing my story. So I think that was when I took the steps to, because I've been working in the mental health field. Now let's see, I've been working in the mental health field for about 14 years now. So like just working in group homes and just different aspects of it. So I saw the need for Black male therapists. So I mean, I wanted to fill that void. Like you said, I mean, you wanted to have somebody. It's one thing to just share your story, but then also just be able to help them on a clinical level, and not just help that individual, but then also inflict some type of change in the system, because there's a reason why we don't see a lot of Black men therapists.
And I have to agree with that. I think, and I'm going to hear you talk about this next month. When it comes to cultural competency and cultural humility, when it is when you're dealing with people of color, the African American community, and how often what we present can be missed by other individuals.
Right.
I specifically remember I do screenings when I'm out, when I'm doing outreach, and someone came to me and they were like, I want to take a screening. So I gave them the thing. They were like, I don't know what screen to take. I said, well, tell me what's going on. What they told me was going on was nothing similar to the DSM. And I was like, you know what? I listened to them and I said, take this right here.
Right.
And it was a positive test. But I understood that because I understood that for Black men or for other minorities, they present different.
Mm-hmm.
And so if you're not really a part of that, and I'm going to say if you're not a part of that community, but if you're not in tune to how that community is responding to their environment, to the traumas that's going on, you'll miss it.
Right.
And it's so important. People don't understand how few of us there are in the field of mental health.
Mm-hmm.
And when I say us, I mean people of color, and particularly Black people.
Right.
The DSM was not written by us. The DSM was not written for us.
Nope.
The trials that take place on these medications and things of that nature, they don't tend to include us. And the doctors leading the studies, the majority of them don't look like us. And we just gonna say what it is.
Right. That's just
Just say what it is. The current mental health system was designed for white people.
right. Right. Agreed.
And so, it's this part of us where, we're doing it for ourselves, but we're doing it for the culture as well.
Oh yeah, got to.
We're doing it for the culture as well because, no one else is doing it.
Nah, because I mean, to be honest with you, and to piggyback off what you were saying, um, one of the reasons why the studies and stuff don't include us, like you said, we don't have enough doctors and enough professionals in the field. But then also, what Black person you gonna get to participate in the mental health trial?
You're right. Look,
No.
I agree. But you know what? But that also lays into the distrust
Oh yeah.
in the system in and of itself, based upon history and how we were. The systems have abused our existence in the health industry, and how trials are done upon us without our consent. And so there's a lot of things where we don't trust those systems, and in some right we don't have a reason to.
Right. Agreed. I don't blame them at all.
But one thing, when it comes to advocacy, and I love what you said, and this is so important for advocates that are coming in and they're looking at this. I think when you spoke to credibility, I've been in the field of mental health for about 15 and a half years.
Mm-hmm.
And so I was already a therapist when these things started to happen with me. And so there is this thing where you have to establish yourself on some level of some foundation.
Right.
When you're looking at building your advocacy, but you've done more than build just advocacy. You've built. Now I'm gonna start pulling out resume. You have built an amazing movement in your in North Carolina with You Stress Inc. With the walks. I've watched you over these years grow and develop, and where the nation is paying attention to the work that you are doing. Because here's this Black boy, and I use the blood loosely, from North Carolina, who is taking on the world and what it means to be mentally well, and doing it from a Black man's perspective unapologetically.
Right.
Because you don't whitewash, and that is what I love about you. You don't whitewash. You don't whitewash.
I can't, because if I did, what service would that do to our people? And because other things are not given to us whitewashed. When it comes down to, were you seeing young Black boys killed by police officers? That's not whitewashed. Where's whitewashed when it comes down to individuals not they're not being trialed for them or prosecuted? Yes, that part is, but we got to give it to our people the way it's given to us. So we got to give it to them live and direct, and then they understand that there is instances where we're gonna have to deal with certain stressors that the majority don't have to deal with, where we have to put on these masks whenever we step outside of our house. It's not even just stepping, it's not even just stepping in the boardroom. No, you got to step outside of your house and put on the mask, because you got to make sure that no one in the community looks at you a certain way. A police officer is not looking at you a certain way. When you go into a grocery store, no one's looking at you a certain way. So all of these types of things. So that's why I can't whitewash these things. You got to be direct, and then you got to teach these individuals that this is how we got to deal with these things. But these is also, there are ways that we can break these generational traumas and these generational issues when it comes down to mental health. And I want to build that trust with them. So if I whitewash it, they're not gonna trust me.
I agree. I do agree because one thing about whitewashing is you minimize the person's experience.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And when you're a person or a member of a group who already doesn't feel heard, to hear your experience whitewashed makes it hurt even more.
Mm-hmm.
Especially when it comes from your own people.
Right. Right.
Especially when it comes from your own people. And I think sometimes we do that out of fear of what folks may think if I'm only focusing on the wellness of Black people. I focus a lot on the wellness of Black women, and I catch a lot of heat for that. I get messages, why are you just focused on why you should be focused on the wellness of everybody? But I'm a Black woman.
Right.
I'm a Black woman. And so it's important for me that Black women, move through their level of healing.
Mm-hmm.
Now, when we start things, and that's going to pull me into this because I have had my hand in a lot of things over the years.
Mm-hmm.
I've blogged, I've been a hair blogger, I've been a mental health blogger. I will start a campaign in a minute. I will start a campaign in a minute. I will start
and have a hell of a following.
Yeah, I was started in a minute, and my mind works like that.
Mm-hmm.
My mind works like that. When I see the vision, I'm moving towards it. And so when you're a new advocate, you get excited. And sometimes I see advocates get burnt out quickly because they're trying to do too much. Because I know when Mental Health Month came, I had to do a public service announcement to my fellow advocates. Y'all slow your roll down because you're trying to do everything under the sun in the month of May. I'm like, you got a whole year to tell people about mental health.
The entire year.
A whole year. Don't fall out.
Right.
Just because it's May.
Right.
Like, so what do you, if I'm somebody who's coming in and I'm excited and I just, want to get out there and I just want to do something, where do you tell them to start? You're an OG in this. You're an OG. You're an OG in this.
That's funny to hear, though. But I would say I get this question a lot, though, actually, because I get it. People reach out to me a lot, and they'll say, "Well, I want to do something. I want to, actually address mental health and help people." I think for one thing is understanding what mental health is and what mental health advocacy is. A lot of times, everyone has a story, and definitely don't want to minimize that at all. But then also understanding when you share your story, that comes with a sense of responsibility, because you are not only just sharing your story to make yourself feel better, you want to make the audience feel better as well. But then what comes with that is you're opening up wounds for certain people, or you may be opening up a channel where people didn't feel like they have anybody to talk to. So they're going to start reaching out to you. So understanding, for one, you need to build up a list of resources. Whether that be the crisis text line or the suicide hotline and all these things. So you need to have these things readily available as individuals start to reach out to you. Because once you start to speak about this topic, it could be someone in the middle of Idaho and they see your message and they're going to shoot you a DM. And they're going to be like, oh, well, I've been going through such and such and such. I mean, when they share, they're going to share. And they're going to look for a response. So understanding that those are the responsibilities that come with it. It's not just, I know for me and you, it's not just us sharing our story, but then it's also equipping ourselves with the tools to be able to help individuals once they start to reach out. Or if we don't have those particular tools, learning who do we need to point them to actually get that help that they actually need.
I agree with that so much. Just one of the first conferences that I spoke at, I was in Mississippi. And it was for teenagers, and it focused on suicide prevention. And I sat there and I spoke, and I was the first person to speak that day. And so all these people going up, and I'm just chilling. I'm chilling. I'm minding my own business, and because I'm like, I done talked to everybody. I done got the drill together. I said, look, if a child, is doing this, the counselor's ready for the children and stuff. And then this man came up to me, probably in his 60s, and he came up to me and he started sharing with me. And next thing I know, he's telling me his story about how he almost about his how he's a suicide attempt survivor. And I could see the pain start to rush. And so those are the type of things that when you share your story, that you need to have your little arsenal ready for.
Yep.
You need to be able to hear, but also I am a firm believer in hearing people than giving them something.
Absolutely.
Because if you leave them without anything, then that's incomplete. That's an incomplete connection, because they're giving you something. You need to give them something back. Either if you're not, and this is so clear, because when you said, point them in the right direction, understand when someone talks to you, that doesn't necessarily mean that you're the person that puts them on the path to healing.
Right.
You may be the person that connects them to where they need to be. So if you don't know what to say, don't you sit up there. Don't you sit up there and try to ad lib. It's okay. It's so you empathize with the person and say, hey, if you ever feel like you need someone to talk to, you can do X, Y, Z. Do that. I do that all the time. People will come and say, oh my gosh, such and such. And I'm just handing out fact sheets. And I'm like, well, you know what? Have you tried X, Y, Z? And because people see you and they see you as a source of help. And when I was out today exhibiting, and so many people were happy to see me because they could tell someone about their anxiety. They could tell someone about their depression. And, they were happy about it. It's like, oh my gosh, I have anxiety. I'm so glad you're here. And so it's that exchange, but you have to make sure that when people give, that you're giving them something. And when you're giving them resources, you're not giving them your energy.
Right.
Because you need your energy to do this work. And we're going to go right into this. Rwenshaun, how do you protect your energy in doing this work? Because this stuff can get heavy and you can burn out.
Sorry. Wanted to. Hey, be quiet.
Oh, I got a baby in the back who's whining.
Hey, come here. Sorry, she's at the door and like just going off with my homeboy that's walking in. So yeah, she's just going off. But no, as far as like protecting my energy, it's about actually being able to it's about being able to know when you need to turn things off, and understanding that you can't help every single body. I know even when we talk, as friends and colleagues, a lot of times we're not talking about mental health. We can talk about everything else, because I talk about mental health all day, every day.
All the time.
I don't need I don't want to sound disrespectful, but I don't need another advocate telling me about suicide facts and stuff that I already know all the time. Oh, did you see that suicide story? And stuff. I don't. We running in the same lane. Let's talk about something else. Cause
Have you seen Avengers? I'm trying to go tonight.
Right. So I've had people do that. Every single article that comes out about mental health, they're forwarding it, and to me, I'm like, I don't want to see that. So learning how to turn certain people off, and understanding that you don't have to respond to every single person. When it comes down to just those types of things, man. If it's an emergency, yes, but just those types of things. But then also introducing my self-care, making sure that I do everything that I need to do for myself on a daily basis, because like you said, this work can get very heavy. But then also understanding that I need to to ground myself on a daily basis, making sure that, you know, I'm in tune with myself and understanding when I need to take breaks. And that's not just, oh, I'm gonna take a vacation once or twice a year. No, I need to take breaks on a daily basis, multiple times a day, and being able to ground myself that particular way. And then just understanding, creating a priority list. And like you said, just having that resource list as well, so you can point people out to certain things that they actually need to get to when they need to get to it, because I can't be see all be all.
I think I so agree with that. I think probably the biggest thing to protecting my energy is when I decided that I was going to stop doing hair videos. Because it was, you know, it was too much, and I really wanted to focus on mental health, you know, more. But I agree. So many people in my life don't talk about mental health, and I appreciate that so much. You know, because I was like, I don't want to hear about the DSM. You know, I don't want to hear about, you know, the latest treatment that's out there. You know, when I get off work, I promise you, out of those articles, I have seen them from the time. Believe me, the people at work are posting articles all day long. You know, I done seen the article at a certain time. It's cut off because you want to deal with life just like everyone else. You know, you want to enjoy life just like everyone else. You know, and another thing is, you know, and I agree with you. It's just like you can't be everything to everybody, and you really, if you're going to be successful in this, you really have to be okay. Like you have to be okay with saying, no, I can't do that. You know, because I do that, you know, even in my current job, even, you know, when people are asking me, hey, can you talk to such and such? And then I was just like, no, I can't talk to such and such. But since you have the connection with them, you can give them these resources. Right. You know, and I do that because I have to protect what's going on with me, because when I first started, I was responding to everybody, and I was like, oh, I gotta respond to this. I was like, I finally got my connection to life back, and you know, I need to do this. And then I went, get to play. That happens, and you learn quick. At first, burnout will teach you a lot. The first burnout will teach you a lot. So we have resources in the game. We have protecting our energy, but how do you formalize it? Because you are the executive director of a nonprofit, a very successful nonprofit, and you are hosting events, and you are busy. Ladies and gentlemen, I have squeezed into his schedule because this gentleman has a walk this weekend and a gala. So I squeezed into his schedule.
And I got homework.
And he got homework tonight. So I slid into this spot, you know, on his busy weekend. So how do you get to a point? I got my paper and my pen too, to take my notes, to where you want to formalize it, because you get to a certain point and you're like, should I formalize this? Should I just let it be something that just exists? You know, what does that decision making process look like, and how do you feel like it has been for you? Obviously, it's been successful. And so tell us about that aspect of your journey, the formalizing and the development of eustressing.
So I guess success is subjective. For me, I think
I get to say it's
it's growing. It's definitely growing. I would say the formalization of it will come from, because I get this question all the time too. Someone will reach out, they'll be like, well, you know, I want to start a nonprofit to raise mental health awareness and this and the third. You know, can you give me the blueprint of what you did? I could if you pay me. Like,
hey, yes, yes. Sometimes, ladies and gentlemen, our energy costs money. It's called
right.
consulting.
Right, exactly. I mean, like, I'm legit started Users in 2013, and it wasn't something that I I knew how to do. It was, growing pains and all those. So you got to pay me for what I've learned over the years. But then also, I actually paid people to help me create my nonprofit because they're, paperwork and all of those types of things. People that I pay on a yearly basis to get these things in order. So, like, when you're reaching out to someone, and especially if you're trying to start something the exact same thing that they're starting off, even starting off with, asking them, can you volunteer so you can learn vicariously through them instead of just getting them to lay out the blueprint for you for free. Like, so, just different things like that. But for me, I saw that there was, and no disrespect to any other organization that's right here in the city. They, like, Mental Health America, and the just other different organizations. They had these resources and they built these platforms, but they weren't for us. They were really for the majority population, and the populations that I was working with, I didn't feel comfortable referring them to them for certain things, just because. I mean, I was like, yo, if I send you over there, you ain't gonna see nobody that look like you. So I guess I need to go ahead and create something for myself, for y'all. It ain't for me, it's for y'all. So that's where I started at. But then also understanding that it takes money to run things. So even now, I'm 6 years in the game. I'm going into my own pocket from my private practice to pay for certain things with Eustress. So, like, understanding that it's not for the faint at heart when it comes down to running a nonprofit and trying to get donations. You're trying to solicit people to actually sponsor certain events and all of this. A lot of stuff come out of my own pocket right now, and a lot of people are not willing to do those things to make those sacrifices to see something grow from an infant stage to something that's a little small business. Then you grow it into another level.
And I think that's the thing, it's that sacrifice in my full-time job, when we deal with partnerships and, people have ideas, it's like, it's that people, want, the little baby, the little fresh baby is so cute. That's your awareness when you first excited and it just pops out and you just holding it like, oh, this is so cute. Mm-hmm. But then that thing got to become a toddler.
Right.
And you got to teach it how to walk, and you got to teach it how to feed itself, and you got to, get that thing to grow and to develop. And it takes a lot of time and a lot of energy to make that happen. And so you do have to think about, when you're developing your developing your brand, do I really have the time and the energy to do this?
Right.
Because it is going to be your time and energy from someone who has branded and rebranded and redeveloped and done thing after thing after thing. It really is your time and energy that you have to hold line and say, I have to do this to make things grow.
Right.
I spend money on campaigns and marketings for stuff that isn't fully formalized yet because I want it to grow. Right. If you're gonna go into something wholeheartedly, then that is what you do. Mm-hmm. And then the thing is, and you don't, like you said, you don't try to do everything by yourself.
No, you can't.
When I had attempted to do some things by myself, I would last a year. Mm-hmm. And when I launched Healing Black Women, I said, I'm not doing this by myself. I'm going to go get a group of Black women that I trust and that I know, and I'm bringing them on board. And I was like, I was like, y'all, we're going to do this. This is my vision. This is what I see. what are y'all on board? And they join me on board.
Right.
And so you have to connect with people, and you realize not only will your vision grow, but you have the energy to do what you need to do for it.
Agreed. And then also people have to realize too, sometimes you may not be that person that needs to start something new. You may need to find a group that you can actually latch on to and create a subsidiary of that particular group that's already established. And then you can create something working within that. We don't always have to have our name at the top of the totem pole when it comes down to being the CEO or the founder of something. Sometimes you can merge within something and then still you have to question and ask yourself, is my goal to be a founder and CEO, or is my goal to help individuals? So, what's gonna actually lead to the actual goal that I'm trying to reach?
I think, and that's so, and people don't understand that aspect of connecting with another organization, and is so common in the largest mental health organizations in the country. You look at NAMI, you look at Mental Health America.
Yeah.
Every last one of them, they have chapters, they have affiliates.
Right.
Where they're under a overarching brand.
Right.
But they're still connected to another organization. They're still doing work. So there is still a lot of value in connecting to another organization that's already pre-existing. If you don't have the time and you don't have the energy, it does help to start somewhere.
Right.
And with another organization is where you can start, because you get to learn how to do things. I've learned so much at my full-time job. About marketing. I learned how to market from there.
Right.
Yeah, I learned how to market my personal things from watching my marketing department at work.
Right.
And so you get into these positions and you learn how to do things. And maybe one day you'll be the captain and the helm, and maybe you won't. But if you're connected to what you're passionate about, you're still where you need to be.
Exactly. Agreed.
And that's the thing. Oh, hey, my ladies. Sorry, my ladies are my two of my contributors are in the chat. Hey, ladies. So I don't believe in keeping folks long. I don't believe. Yeah, that's my church say. Then you're there for another hour. I ain't gonna keep you long.
Right.
But what do you? So I'm listening to you tonight, and I have decided that this is something that I want to take on. I want to focus on an aspect of advocacy. What words would you leave me with to encourage me to not overthink it and not overdo it, and to get started?
When it comes down to advocacy, first of all, I would say define your goal. As far as what would you like to see accomplished with your advocacy efforts, and then start doing some research as far as different organizations, not even on a national scale, but they're right there in your local area, whether it's your city, your town, or even in your state, that are doing something on certain types of work. And not just in Google, but then also searching hashtags and certain things on Instagram, Facebook, and all of those types, because there are a lot of different organizations, whether official or unofficial, that are actually putting in their actual work. But then understanding too that advocacy is definitely needed, but then also understanding that you can always help someone in some type of form or fashion by sharing your story, but then also learning how to be a supportive individual, and just being able to address certain issues from different perspectives. And then and to be real with you, advocacy is hard, because like I said, you spend a lot of energy doing things, because once you put yourself out there as a mental health advocate, people are going to start reaching out. People will start reaching out, period. When it comes down to, oh, well, I heard you talk about this. And so I've been dealing with this and I need your help. And then, like you said before, understanding that no is your best friend. Especially no is your best friend if you don't have the energy to do it. And no is your best friend when you don't know how to actually do it. And not just saying, no, I'm not going to help you, but no, I'm not sure how to really help you, but I'm going to point you in the right direction to understand, to get the right services. And that's the key when it comes down to advocacy, is getting people in the right places to get the help that they need.
And I so agree with you. And I would say one thing, just understand advocacy doesn't look the same way for everybody. Your level of advocacy may be different. Rwenshaun and I, we're both advocates, and we're in different spectrums, but we're still moving towards the same goal, and our paths cross.
Right.
They just keep crossing, and it's like that's what happens in advocacy. So if any of you will be in Washington, D.C. next month, you can see Mr. Rwenshaun Miller at the Mental Health America Conference, where he will be talking about the elephant in the room, cultural competency. Yay!
Oh, man.
I will be in that session with him. Yeah. I'm looking forward to that. Sir, please tell us what you have coming up this weekend.
Oh man. This weekend, man, it's the 4th annual Let's Talk About It Mental Health Awareness Walk in Charlotte, North Carolina. We're going to start at 9 a.m. and we're going to go to 12, and we're going to actually make it a fun day thing. It's not just a walk. It's actually going to have vendors out there to promote holistic care to address mental health issues. But then also we're going to have a bounce house. We're going to have, snow cones, popcorn, and all these things for the kids. And we go fry fish. So we go really like, oh, it's for the culture, for real. Oh, yeah. So we're doing fish sandwiches out there. So make sure you come through. We're gonna have WSOC TV. They're the local news channel here. They're partnering with me to bring stuff live, and then also we're gonna really have a good time. And then that evening, man, doing the Let's Talk About It Mental Health Awareness Gala. This is gonna be the 2nd annual one. So black tie optional, but the goal is to it's a fundraising event, but then also highlighting individuals that doing a peer award for the year, doing a clinician award for the year, and then also doing a community organization award for the year for individuals and community organizations that are actually breaking down the stigma and also addressing mental health in just different various ways. And then also this year I created the Why You Stressing Scholarship Award, man. So I'm excited about that. I have going to actually give away $1,000 as far as a scholarship to I would say young black male, but to a black male that's pursuing his degree, whether it's a master's or PhD in a mental health field, whether it's psychology, social work, or clinical mental health. So yeah, that's gonna be my first award this year. First scholarship award, and I look forward to doing that on a yearly basis because I understand I went through school and I'm still in school, but I want to see more black men in this field on a professional level. We need it. And so why not just create this award to, help them out while they're in school. So just to, highlight their accomplishments and then, give them some praise as well.
And also, if you're not following them, they are highlighting for the month of May. They're highlighting black men who are in the field of mental health.
Agreed.
Every day, someone every day. So I've been checking that out also. Where can we find you in the world of social media?
Oh, bro, if you can spell my name, you can find me. It's RWENSHAUN. If you can spell that, you can find me on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, and also my website as well. My book is on sale on the website. So I actually got something coming out in July too. That's another publication coming out in July.
Okay.
So you're actually the first one to hear that.
Okay. We appreciate the insight.
So yeah, got something dropping because July is Minority Mental Health Awareness Month.
Yes, it is.
Oh yeah. So
yes, it is.
For the culture on in July. But yeah, so that's where you can find me. RWENSHAUN.
And yes, Healing Black Women will be going. Yeah, we're gonna get the girls together. We're gonna go next year. We're gonna come through and get my crew.
I'm already planning for next year. Next year will be huge.
Oh, I already know. Like before the event already up, you're already on next year. I know.
I have to. So event planning is another title that I have.
Yes. So like everyone, like I said, I won't keep you long. So I'd like to thank everyone for coming out tonight and watching. Shout out to Mimi and Tarshell for joining in, my girls, the contributors and Healing Black Women. And also shout out to Tarshell B for your collaboration. I think it was Gold Mine and Cocoa. So congratulations on that collaboration. My girls, they're doing it big out there. And so thank you again, Mr. Rwenshaun Miller, for joining us. And join us next week as we will have another special guest on the Livestream Wellness Series. Bye, everyone.